Gloria Benson from Georgia. And tonight we have picked the topic of 7 keys to maximize your weight loss. And I know, Dr. Rouse, for me, I have a lot of people send me questions. They want to know when they get started on the Trima, or they get started on the regimen here with losing weight. They want to know if there is, what are some things that they can do that will help them? Is there any particular diet? Is there any particular regimen that we suggest? And of course, we don't have a particular diet or anything like that we encourage people to follow, but we've done a lot of great training calls. We've focused on some of the topics we're going to cover tonight very extensively in individual training topics, but I thought we would put together just something that would cover some of the basics so that when someone does ask you, well, is there anything that I can do, any lifestyle change, anything that I can do that can maximize my results on the product? And if so, I would like to do that. So that's one of the reasons why we put this call together tonight. And if you are listening for the first time, Dr. Rouse is our medical advisor here with Visi. He's a registered pharmacist. He's a doctor of natural medicine. And I know that he stays busy all throughout the day answering questions, answering emails, talking to many of you out in the field. And so it's always a pleasure to have him on these calls because we learn so much from him and we've gained so much knowledge from what he has shared with us on previous calls. So Dr. Rouse, I know you get bombarded by emails all the time. People ask questions. They want to get the best results. They want to know what they can do. And so these 7 keys will cover a lot of the things that we have covered. But first and foremost, they've got to take the product. And we've certainly put together an amazing product here for people to get a tremendous jump start and get them headed on the right path to losing weight and getting the weight off that they've been wanting to get off. So tonight we've got these 7 keys, and we may can go back and forth, but I'm going to turn it over to you because I know last week we talked about the 7 benefits of Trima. So you went into a lot of detail about the nutritional aspects of the product, but maybe on each one of these keys you could just touch on some of the major focuses, and this will give someone a good overview of some things that can definitely help them.
Wow, thank you very much, Gloria, and looking forward to it. There's no doubt that if we tweak the system and make things happen in our behalf, things will always look better. Guess what? In 1 year's time, just in 1 year's time, most of 1 million calories, most people consume 1 million calories. But in 1 year's time, most people also, they burn 1 million calories per year without ever thinking anything about it. And so when we come to metabolism, we just learn a few keynote things, secrets, and wow, we can stay in tune, manage our weight for a lifetime. Now, we all say it's harder to lose weight, Charlie, when we age. Yes, as we age, there are receptor sites in the brain, in the hypothalamus part of the brain, and they're called leptin, L-E-P-T-I-N, leptin receptors. And you have fewer leptin receptors in the brain, in the hypothalamus. And that means you're going to have fewer satiety signals, fewer I am full, fewer I am satisfied. And because of that, you're going to be more prone to eat too often or eat unfortunately and more prone to gain weight. So for somebody who is beyond age 40, you are going to benefit even more so, because tonight we'll talk about how to retrain the hypothalamus, which is in the brain, the command center of the brain that controls the temperature of your body, which invariably controls the metabolism of your body. And the hypothalamus, the command center of the brain, not only is responsible for the actual temperature and metabolism, but it controls the sex drive. And deep within the hypothalamus is the physical appetite control center of the human body. And we're talking appetite for food, appetite for thirst, and even appetite for sex. So the hypothalamus is the key computer room. And when we make things happen, when we talk about resetting the receptor sites, then we're going to be able to make metabolism work more in our behalf. We're going to be able to control our desires. Will be under control. And then certainly with that, we have to also remember that in the essence of time, there's a lot of other chemicals that just become awash whenever stress is allowed to function. And when I say stress, we're talking cortisol and a major stress factor called NYP. No, I'm not talking about the New York police. NYP stands for neuro in the brain, peptide, which is a protein, and letter Y, because we didn't know if it was an X or a Y. So in chemistry, biochemistry, we abbreviate it NYP. It's a stress hormone. Now, neuropeptide Y, anytime you're high or over exaggerated in neuropeptide Y, NYP, because you haven't managed your stress, then you're going to decrease your metabolism drastically, and you're going to increase your appetite ravenously. And therefore, stress alone becomes the key focus to what we're doing. So when we built Trima, we realized that two stress factors, we needed to get NYP, neuropeptide Y, under control. And we needed to bring cortisol down, because if cortisol's up, the body's fidgety, inflamed, and the hypothalamus is misfiring. And if you don't have the command center controlling temperature and metabolism and appetite, you're in big trouble. So we put cordyceps in Trima to control the cortisol, but we put L-theanine in the Trima to control the neuropeptide Y. Some people said in the original, well, when we first introduced it just a few days ago, some people were first to the experimentation, and many people did very well. We have gotten phenomenal emails, reports back. But then again, we had some that were high in cortisol and extremely high in NYP. We didn't know it, and we didn't have enough. We didn't have enough stuff to control it. So we have tweaked. I believe the first batch of the new tweak stuff went out today. So from here on forth, Trima becomes even more NYP manageable, which now means that the eating chemicals, the stress, is going to improve your metabolism and decrease your appetite. So guess what? Duct tape over the mouth is not the way to regulate food intake. It's by giving yourself a nutritional tune-up. And in the product, Trima, we were able to also tweak and to work with the chemistries, the GCB, what we call green coffee bean, or what we call coffee arabica, GCB. We tweaked it with L-theanine, with cordyceps. We were able to move molecules around in the product to now give us a more nutritional tune-up from the aspect of key number one, reset the metabolism, control the appetite by downplaying NYP and decreasing cortisol. So even those that are aging, who have fewer leptin receptors. See, the more leptin that you have received, leptin is an appetite controller, an appetite signaler to the rest of the body. So that becomes exceedingly beneficial. Now, what happens is, what some people are so out of sync, so in need of nutritional tune-up, that for them, we may take 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, because we're in a grudge match. We're trying to get your leptin up and the receptors receiving it so that you feel full. But if you have too much ghrelin, G-H-R-E-L-I-N, ghrelin, which is a hormone, then you're going to eat more and gorge more. So people who ever complain or say, I'm not doing too good here, I'm eating more than I usually do, then obviously we need to reset, and we need to work on the ghrelin aspect. And that's where we're going to teach the very strong reasoning behind choosing food more for your health. And the two foods, mark this down, the two foods that upgrade, enhance, cause ghrelin to be sky high, that will make you eat more, gorge more, is two foods. One is called high fructose corn syrup. Anybody who takes in a smidgen of high fructose corn syrup, it's in your peanut butter, it's in your ketchup, it's in your jelly, it's in your ice cream. And you start reading those labels, and every time you take a smidgen, you have just brought in ghrelin, and it's going to fight your leptin. It's a grudge match. Your leptin can't tell you be full, but the ghrelin will tell you eat more. And number two, right alongside of it, that's a fast ghrelin enhancer, is anything that's called wheat, whole wheat or white wheat. Doesn't matter what kind of wheat. 2 pieces of wholesome whole wheat bread that people call wholesome and healthy, 2 pieces of whole wheat bread would be equivalent to eating 1 Snicker candy bar. 2 pieces of whole wheat bread would be equal to 1 Snicker candy bar in relationship to raising your ghrelin levels. So help us out. Help us go to key 1, because if we get key 1 correct, all the rest falls in. Key number 2 says hormonal. You got major hormones in the thyroid, which is, we're looking after your thyroid gland. Your thyroid, in most cases, is very stressed. If your hair in your eyebrow is falling out on the outer edge of the eyebrow, if the eyebrows are less hairy on the outer edge, that's an indicator that you have a thyroid condition. If you ever wake up in the morning and your eyelid is puffy, that's thyroid. If you ever look at the shin on your leg and it's a slightly discolored, maybe little yellowish tint or light brown tint, a little darker than the rest of the skin, that's thyroid deficiency. If you pinch your skin and it's drier than normal, that's thyroid. If you're tired and get tireder in the afternoon and you don't have full stamina all the way through the day, that's thyroid deficiency. If you were to take your body temperature, you're laying there in the bed in the morning, and axillary under the armpit, not in the mouth, under the armpit, your axillary body temperature, if it's below 98.6 early in the morning, it's probably going to show up. If you're thyroid deficient at 97.6, maybe even 96.8, below 98.6, so we're down low, 97, 96, extremely bad on metabolism, extremely deficient on burning calories. What's in the adrenal system? That's cortisol and DHEA. Most people are high in stress, adrenal, cortisol, and NYP. And with NYP up or NPY, whichever way you want to abbreviate it, the neuropeptide Y chemical, this means that your adrenal system is very fatigued. And this means that you're more prone to dizzy spells. You get up out of a chair, you might be lightheaded. You're not only tired, you're extremely fatigued. Your adrenal systems. And when you go to bed at night, oh, that pillow feels so good, the bed feels so cozy, and oh, it's so nice to get a nice cat nap. All of a sudden you're asleep. And you hadn't been asleep an hour and a half, and kaboom, you wake right up. And now it's a Rolodex night. You think about everything on your brain Rolodex, and you're tossing and turning, and you're not sleeping fully well, nor fully through the night. That's adrenal. And then you go to your liver. You see the picture up there in the top right of the margin there, the one on the right. That's liver. That's liver. Anytime you have omentum, that's the body anatomy that covers the organs of the body in the midsection. And anytime you got midsection too big, the omentum too swollen, that's the liver. That means that the liver has now become so congested that it's storing fat, it's storing toxic chemicals, it's storing chemistry. It's not moving the bile any longer. It's not helping the pancreatic juices get done anymore. And so now we got thyroid, adrenal, and liver all functioning in a dysfunction. Come to the rescue. We bring on Visi energy. In the Visi energy pack, we were able to supplement the nutrition that is thyroid, adrenal, and liver enhancing. Some people can't have a good key number one, reset metabolism, control appetite, manage stress, because they're all congested in thyroid, adrenal, and liver. Encourage the Visi energy pack. Bring it on first thing in the morning every day and do it daily for a long, good time to make things happen. Now we get more productivity. Now we get more assimilation. Now we're going to help the hypothalamus, the command center, to get a better temperature, to get a better metabolism, to get a better appetite control. Now we're going to raise the leptin levels, but better yet, raise the leptin receptors to accept the leptin. And at the same time, we're going to curtail high fructose corn syrup and wheat, and we're going to bring ghrelin down, so we're winning this war on two fronts. We're actually getting healthier, and the body is supporting us. As we go to the next slide, we're at key number 3, and here's where everybody is cheating their way into oblivion. Blood sugar support. Now, what happens is anything that raises your insulin, and it could be a cracker, a crouton, a cereal, a piece of toast, it could be refined sugar, anything. But the main culprits are the simple sugars. The high fructose corn syrup is a no. Enriched, bleached, or refined, any kind of flour like that, enriched, bleached, or refined, means that wheat was already buffed out so bad it has no nutritious value anyhow. And we've already said, doesn't matter whether it's whole wheat or other wheat, it's causing a conundrum, a conniption fit in the receptor sites of the insulin is not being utilized. It's called insulin resistance. Years ago, Stanford University in California said, well, we're going to call it Syndrome X. Other medical colleges across the United States said, we'll call it Metabolic X. Doesn't matter what you call it. It's simply a roller coaster ride where you're going too high with sugar. The cannon comes out and shoots insulin to knock the sugar down, and down comes the insulin. And the body says, more insulin, please, so it spurts another shot of insulin, and now the sugar goes below normal. Oh, and that's fidgety, nervous, headachy. So now we eat more, we bring on more junk, and the sugar goes back up. The insulin fires off again. Now we have insulin resistance, too much insulin floating in the blood, and insulin, instead of being a metabolism nutrition, a metabolism hormone, a metabolism burn sugar, give you energy, becomes very obnoxious, and now insulin becomes a fat storage hormone. And so simple sugars, high fructose corn syrup, and wheat are like dunking your cell phone in a glass of water, because high fructose corn syrup and wheat are going to short circuit your hormones. Short circuiting your hormones are causing major catastrophic problems. On key number 3, there's a burn fat versus a store fat. So let's make some healthy choices here. Choose unsaturated fat as your primary fat, and you won't get in trouble. Because if you eat more saturated fat than you do unsaturated fat, you will not burn fat, you will store fat. And saturated fat always lowers leptin. You need leptin to control appetite. Saturated fat lowers leptin, so you eat more ravenously. Saturated fat is called sausage, bacon, baked goods, and whole milk. So people that are into that, they're always storing fat instead of burning fat. But an unsaturated fat, like a good olive or a good yogurt, or something that's clean, wholesome, healthy, then you're burning off. So watch out what it is that you're going to eat. Now on key number 4, we say, what about it? Are you getting sufficient sleep? Are you drinking sufficient water? Are you doing any exercise? Me personally, I'm a walking nut. I mean, I like to walk. I was so busy today that I was aggravated at myself that I didn't get to walk today, because down here in Albany, Georgia, where I'm living, I mean, the temperature was 72 degrees today. There's no excuse for Dr. Charlie not to take a walk. No rain, all sunshine, and I didn't get in a walk. But let me just encourage you, look, 3 times a week. 3 times a week, that's 4 days you don't. If you'll give me 3 times a week on a little walk, a mile, mile and a half, just give it a good pace, you'll make more of your cells sensitive to leptin. How about that? Walking makes cells sensitive to leptin. That's the appetite control center. And walking makes muscle cells exceedingly sensitive to insulin. Whoa, go back to key 3, improve insulin sensitivity. Well, I can do that immediately by cutting out high fructose corn syrup, getting rid of simple sugars, and stopping enriched, bleached, refined flour, period. I'm going to do better there, but if I walk, I make my insulin more sensitive. Now, let me tell you something about, don't get overwhelmed with exercise. And I know some of you go to the gym or walk or exercise every single day. Good. But we're talking calories tonight. We're talking metabolism. And only 15% of your calorie intake in any given week, 15%, is ever going to be burned up through physical exercise. And you can walk all you want, or you can go to the gym and spin all you want. And some of you might push the extreme and get 30% calorie burn in a week's time, but the average person who does sufficient exercise is only going to burn up 15% of your calories in a week. Now listen to this. for every increase in your body temperature, 1 degree, for every increase in your body temperature 1 degree, I'll increase your metabolic rate 14%. Now, isn't it a whole lot easier? Follow a TREMA, increase your body temperature 1 degree, and burn down 14%. And listen to this. If you were to become more acclimated in eating protein, protein enrichment every single day, we're gonna educate you in days to come more on protein. But eating protein does the very same thing. A protein in your diet will increase your body temperature 1 degree, which will increase your metabolic rate 14%. Now listen very carefully. If you starve yourself, let's say you're going on a 12-hour, I'm just mad at myself, I'm starving myself, I'm just going to lose some weight. If you starve yourself for 12 hours, you literally physically reduce your metabolic rate. It drops 40%. So please do not skip meals. Breakfast is very, very important. Lunch and dinner. Eat like a king for breakfast and like a queen for lunch and more of a pauper at supper. But please get your metabolic rates up. And if you starve, you're in for a gizmo. Key 5, and we're almost home, we're almost through. We've already talked about the bad sugars. So I think that we've learned something. But let me tell you about artificial sweeteners. Number 1, Splenda, and number 2, Equal. They're big, big, big things on the market. They're not going to help you 1 iota in weight loss because the brain, the hypothalamus, the control center, does not, will not, cannot recognize, will not recognize Splenda nor Equal. That means your satiety center, your control appetite center of your brain, has no idea that you are full or has brought in anything to satisfy, and you will still be hungry. So when you sweeten your tea or drink your soda pop with an artificial sweetener, you make yourself more hungry. And high fructose corn syrup causes inflammation in the body. And inflammation always causes more weight. Key number 6, we'll talk a whole lot more about protein. We've already given you some assimilations on it. And number 7, obviously, if you can, please hydrate. And the best way to hydrate in weight loss is to use it as a diuretic. And you can make H2O, dihydrogen monoxide, water, become your standard diuretic by taking whatever pounds you weigh. Let's say you weigh 200 pounds tonight. Divide by 2, and that means that you want to try to drink over the course of your 18-hour day that you're awake about 100 ounces of water. So your body weight divided by 2 equals the number of ounces that becomes your diuretic that flushes water. Most of you, if you got in 50 to 60 ounces of water per day, you're going to hydrate yourself sufficiently to keep your metabolism burning. But if you're dehydrated, your body will slow metabolism down drastically. So here we go, Gloria. TREMA, it's been tweaked. All the new products are going out as of tonight, and we're going to see even more results. We're getting phenomenal results. I mean, I understand some people had trouble because they were high in ghrelin, high in cortisol, high in other than this and other than that. But we're listening. We have to figure it out for everybody, and I think we're going to have even more greater testimonies coming because we have the best product. We have a world-class product, and they can match the 7 keys to maximum weight loss.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Rouse, and that's one of the reasons why we wanted to cover this topic tonight because, you know, we've got so many things coming at us from so many different directions between lifestyle, between our own physical shape that we're in, our hormones, our thyroid, just so many things going on. And it's just amazing to me at, we've been doing calls on these topics for years, but there's a lot of people out there that are just, they don't know this information. So this is going to help people tremendously. Again, we don't have a particular diet for people to follow, but we give you some amazing tips and some things that you can begin to incorporate into your lifestyle. And you start off slow with them, and you begin to increase them and enhance them. You learn more. And then all of a sudden you look up, and you're living a totally different lifestyle for the better, and it just makes such a difference. Especially, I've seen a couple of people, Dr. Rouse, that we've worked with for years that decided this year, you were one of them, to go gluten-free. We've had quite a few people to do that, and it has made such a difference in their health and in their weight loss. It's just been amazing. They'll never go back to the way they were eating before. So, if we can help you on these calls to understand some of these topics better and to begin to look at things differently and to begin to understand your bodies and why you're in the shape that you're in, then we've done you a service. And that's exactly what we want to do by giving you these information calls that we do. So thank you, Dr. Rouse, for your time tonight. Another great call. It is going to be put up on invitesampleshare.com.